Hey there everybody, Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter.
This video is a discussion about NCIS because unfortunately there is no episode today while we're recording this. The finale is right on the horizon.
We have one left, guys.
And if you have not heard, what's going on here is because of what is going on in the real world right now, and hopefully all of you are safe, production stopped early, and there were 4 episodes that were planned for this season that unfortunately just aren't going to make it to air this spring. But one of them stands out, I think, in the minds of many fans, perhaps even more so than the rest, and that's even including the finale.
Yeah.
That is episode number 400.
It's a big one. It's a huge milestone. There's not a lot of shows that make it to 400. So it's on everybody's mind. It's definitely on ours.
Yeah, and what we thought about talking about today is going into episode 400 and sort of wondering, how is it going to be impacted by this change? Because presumably they had plans that were sort of in the works prior to production being shut down. But what do you do now with an episode that is so momentous? How does it change? Could it change? We'll talk through all of that here. But before we do, if you do like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. Coco Vanderwolf would very much appreciate it.
Yes, and so would we.
Yeah, we're not above using the dog for bribes. Also, be sure to hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any other updates. So I know one of the things we were kind of talking about before coming on is just this idea that they may have already had some people who they would sort of set up to come back.
Yeah, so with big milestone episodes, they usually want to bring back notable guest stars, someone maybe like a Joe, we haven't seen for now all season long, maybe even someone like Code de Pablo. We still haven't seen that Tiva reunion. It may or may not ever happen. We don't know, right? But we don't know what they had planned. So if they did have guest stars, then these people would have been already sort of locked in to do this episode. We don't have a season 18 yet. It is not confirmed yet, but it's probably coming back. Let's all be kind of, here it is, we think it's coming back. So if it comes back, then, what happens? Because that's pretty far off into the future now, that episode 400 might be so far into the future that whatever plans they had with certain guest stars, these guest stars are no longer locked in. That would be my understanding, is that, could they go and have another job? Could there be another opportunity that comes up for them? Are they still available or not? So does that now change what's going to happen in that 400th episode? Everything is so up in the air.
It is one of the weirdest, most unprecedented times I can think of. And, we've been doing this business now for, a good solid decade plus. And I can't ever remember a situation that was this unusual, where you have a very specific plan, everything goes out the window, and then you sort of have to think about, okay, well, what's the new plan going to be? How are we going to move forward?
Yeah, and we don't even know how long it's going to go on for.
That only adds to even more of the uncertainty, because really in general, there wasn't ever that much released officially about the 400th episode. And sort of, I think what makes it so tricky is we probably weren't actually that far away from learning stuff before everything started to kind of go to where we are now with this health crisis, because there was that Paley Fest panel that was scheduled last month that was supposed to be all about the 400th episode.
Yeah, and did not happen.
No, and it got kind of canceled at the last minute, and this is around the time production and everything started to be shut down. I would think that the majority of the idea that they had planned for this episode would still sort of transfer back. I don't think they would want to change it that much. But, like you said, I think there are 2 different problems here. Number one, the idea that some of these cast members or guest stars may be booked for something else. If you're a series regular, you're under contract.
Yeah.
That's fine. You can keep you, but if you're a guest star, they can't hold people to a guest star spot, at least as far as I know, for 5 or 6 months.
Or who knows how long? That's the real issue, right? Nobody knows how long this is going to go on for. So can you hold somebody sort of indefinitely for who knows when this is going to come around again? It's, it's sucky for NCIS. It would be sucky for a guest star if it's like, oh, well, now I got to turn down role after role. Like, I thought this was going to be already filmed, and now it's, who knows, August, September, October. I mean, hopefully it's not going to go on this long, but it's also unknown.
And the other thing I think with a show like NCIS is that they want to be escapist. Like, they want to have antics, they want to have fun moments, they want to have memorable quotes, but they also do try on some level to reflect what's going on in the real world. And we don't really know if the story that they had planned for the 400th episode would actually be suitable or work in sort of a post what we're going through world, because we don't even know what that world is going to look like right now, let alone what the writers know.
Yeah, and the other thing is maybe what they had for the 400th episode, this is just a what if. What if they had something really good planned for it, and they're like, yeah, we feel really good about this. Now everybody's at home and, they're with their kids, they're with their families, but there is still like Skype and phone and, FaceTime. What if everybody is kind of getting together to be like, okay, this idea, it was really good, but like now that I've had time and I'm at home, what about this idea? And then all of a sudden, Steve Binder is no longer dragging his kids across the sidewalk in their little sleds. He put up this really cute picture on his Instagram of him being dad and dragging them down the street, and they're all like, yeah!
I didn't think we were getting Steve Binder's Instagram in this video, but here we are.
So cute. So anyways, maybe in his off time when he's not being dad, that maybe he's on the phone with people being like, how about this idea? Yeah, this is a good one. So it's possible that the creative juices are flowing and maybe even better ideas are starting to pop up. And they're like, all right, what we had planned, now maybe this.
Well, everyone's got time at this point. I think that's the real clear thing, is that everybody who's doing what they're supposed to be doing right now, you're staying around, you're probably bored here or there, maybe you're coming up with something that's crazy and wild. And I think with the NCIS world, because it is so sort of vast and expansive, like, the sky's really the limits. I mean, yes, you cannot turn Nick Torres into an actual superhero like Spider-Man, but there's about a million other things you can do. But Spider Torres would be kind of fun.
So is bringing your kids down the street on a sled.
In California, I think especially bonus points for that. But let's talk about a couple of specific ideas here for what they could do. The Michael Weatherly of it all, I think.
We gotta talk about that.
Yeah, this needs to be addressed.
So he's been on his Twitter talking about NCIS a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Like, it feels like this is the show he's actually on and not Bull. It is very interesting. So I know that he loves to kind of get into sort of the nostalgia of it all. It may have just been something as fun as, oh, I'm stuck at home. Oh man, look, here's my NCIS hat. Let's talk about this. And sort of started bringing out some videos. So it definitely has brought up a lot in fans that are thinking that he knows something and that he was already planned to be in this episode. And honestly, nobody knows. And nobody knows anything moving forward either. Like, I mean, everything's uncertain. We don't know when they're coming back to film. We don't know what they're filming. We don't even know if they're going to be renewed yet, but they probably will.
Do I think that Michael has had some discussion at some point about coming back? Sure, I'm sure that there has been a discussion, but, there's discussions about a lot of different things. Like, Jess and I could have had a discussion about me learning how to juggle bananas, but that doesn't mean that I'm actually going to go to the other room and juggle the bananas. Like, that would be very difficult.
When all this is over, can we have a discussion about Steve coming and pulling us down the street on a sled?
Steve, when all this is over, this is the first thing you need to apparently do. No, I really think that it's an idea that could happen, but everything changes so quickly. I don't think anything is like cemented about Michael coming back to NCIS right now.
I don't think anything at all is cemented, so him coming on and talking about this stuff, I think it's just sort of, he's just chatting about stuff, about what he likes, what he's thinking about, all that sort of thing. I don't think he has any actual information right now, because I don't think any of us have any information right now. I don't even think CBS knows what's going on right now, because nobody knows when they can even come back to work. We're all just stuck in this holding pattern.
We are, and the one thing that I thought about, just from a standpoint of if they were to make sort of a TiVo reunion work in the 400th episode, that maybe they would not have been able to do in sort of this original planned time they meant to film it. Like, if there's a silver lining, maybe it is that typically with your premiere episodes and your early installments for a given season, it's easier to shoot things out of order because, you're not at air dates yet, you have time to sort of put things together. It's theoretically possible to me that you could shoot the 400th episode before anything else, and maybe if Bull gets renewed, which we don't know if it's going to be renewed as of yet, there may be time for Michael to come and do something for the 400th episode before he gets to work on Bull, and then maybe that is sort of a way that you can make that work. But like you sort of have said, when we don't know when everyone is going to come back to work, it may all be sort of a moot point, ultimately.
Yeah, because if it's like, everyone's not safe to come back to work until August or September or October, hopefully that's not going to be the case. But if it's not until way later, then everybody's going to be back to work the minute that they're able to, and that would include Bull and NCIS at the same time. So it just wouldn't end up happening. Everyone's going to be so far behind schedule on stuff that then if they did have some sort of reunion planned, I just don't know how that happens if Bull comes back.
What I'm thinking they might do, if I was the NCIS writers, I would sort of have a number of different plans. I would have sort of a plan A. Okay, if we can get everyone we want, if we want to tell this story, here's our plan A. But if production's pushed back, if we're not able to get all these people, here's a plan B that we're also really excited about. I think flexibility is more important now than it has ever been in this profession. I'm sure they are exercising that behind the scenes.
The one thing that I will say that I really want to see in this 400th episode, and I'm going to be very disappointed if he's not there, is Ducky. Ducky's been around this show forever, since the beginning. I know he's not on every episode anymore, but it would feel like a real miss for me if he wasn't included in this episode, and I feel like he's going to be.
Yeah, I do too, because I think we spoke with Steve and Frank. I think it was right around the holiday season.
It's been a while.
Yeah, before the sort of mid-season finale, and obviously plans can change. But at that time, they did sort of mention the idea of having the 400th episode be sort of about Gibbs and about Ducky, and really sort of focusing on kind of the original people who were a part of this show. And I still really like that idea. I mean, granted, I also like the TiVo reunion idea, and I also like 500. I like a Slim Street block party. Like, I like all sorts of stuff, and ultimately, they're not going to be able to cram in everything on our wish list within a single episode.
No, and more than anything, what I want to see with this episode is just more focus on the actual characters, more so than a case. And I'll sort of go back into the Criminal Minds episode called Saturday that just aired this year, where instead of it really being about a case, and there was a case in there, but it was really nothing compared to the actual episode, where it was like, we saw what everyone was doing on a Saturday when they weren't actually at work. And it was really fascinating to see what everybody was doing sort of in their personal time and away from a case, and how their relationships were outside of work. And I would really like something that, if there's going to be no case, which would be kind of interesting, that it would be more about the team, plus of course a couple people coming back. But if it is going to be about a case, I'd like to see sort of an old cold case from way back in the day that like all the real old school NCIS people would remember, that didn't have any kind of resolution, come back up again.
That is always fun, especially if you have Gibbs and Ducky who have these very sort of specific memories about it, and then they can reflect on how, other people were involved, including characters who aren't on the show anymore, and so you find a way to kind of get them mentioned again within the world as well. It could be really fun. I think this is an episode we're all going to be looking forward to. Like Jess said, it hasn't been renewed yet, but it's going to be one of the biggest shock. It's going to shock me more than Y5O ending if NCIS ends this season. So I'm hoping for the best. We will be here with more news the moment we have it. I don't know if we're going to have more news on the 400th anytime soon.
It may be a while, guys.
Yeah, let's all just sort of buckle in and prepare for that. But what do you guys want right now in the 400th episode of NCIS? Be sure to let us know in the comments. And if you guys do like this video, remember to give us a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us more, just check the link in the description to the store. And we'll see you here next time.